Sairam students, I hope all of you are doing good. In this literature class, we will begin with another lesson from your textbook, First Flight. I hope you've downloaded the textbook and a book and a pen is kept ready to jot down the important points. Now, the lesson that we will begin today is Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom. This lesson is a small extract taken from his book, Long Walk to Freedom. Now, before beginning with the lesson, let me just brief you about Nelson Mandela. Nelson Holishaza Mandela was a South African anti-apartheid revolutionary, political leader and philanthropist who served as the President of South Africa from 1994 to 1999. He was country's first black head of the state and the first elected in a fully representative democratic election. Akoza Mandela was born to the Thembu royal family. So he was the one who fought for the blacks, for the rights of the blacks. Now during this fight, he had to serve 27 years of imprisonment. He was a controversial figure as well. He has received more than 250 honors, which includes the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, this Nobel Peace Prize, students, he was awarded jointly with de Klerk, and this was given for the termination of the apartheid regime and laying the foundation of new democratic South African government. He is held in deep respect within South Africa, where he is often referred to by his Xhosa clan name Madiba and is described as the father of the nation. Like in India, we have Mahatma Gandhi. He's also called as a father of the nation. So in South Africa today, also people call him the father of the nation. So let's begin with the lesson. 10th May dawned bright and clear. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders on South African soil. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheatre formed by the Union Buildings in Pretoria. So 10th May 1994, this was the day when Nelson Mandela was sworn in as the President of Democratic South Africa. And how was the day? The day was bright and clear. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged. Besieged means surrounded by. So Nelson Mandela was surrounded by many dignitaries and world leaders. Why? Because they had come down to pay their respect before the inauguration ceremony. This was the same ceremony that I spoke to you about initially. That was the day when he would be sworn in as the President of South Africa. So he says that this inauguration would be the largest gathering of international leaders on South African soil. Before this ceremony, there was no such ceremony held before, wherein, they had people all across the globe or dignitaries all across the globe who had come down to witness this ceremony. So this was the largest of all gathering that ever took place on the South African soil. And this ceremony took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheater formed by the Union Buildings in Pretoria. So this was a semicircular form of amphitheater, and it was formed by the Union Buildings, and the stairs were used for this ceremony. Let's proceed further. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy, and now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic, non-racial government. On that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zenani. On the podium, Mr. de Klerk was sworn in as second deputy president. Then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as first deputy president. When it was my turn, I pledged to obey and uphold the constitution and to devote myself to the well-being of the republic and its people. To the assembled guest and the watching world, I said. So he says that for decades, what's a decade? A span of 10 years is a decade. So many decades put together. Okay, he's saying that that seat was white supremacy. It belonged to the white supremacy. And now it was a site of a rainbow gathering of different colors. So now he's saying people having different skin colors. It was not only the whites, different skin colors. That's the reason he is comparing it to the rainbow. How there are 7 colors in the rainbow? So he says that there were people belonging to different, or people having different skin tones were all present to witness the ceremony. And which ceremony was it? It was South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. It was formed on that day. On that lovely autumn day. Now, why does he say that 10th May is an autumn day? All of us must be knowing that the northern and the southern hemispheres, they experience opposite season. So when in May we are experiencing summer, okay, South Africa, which happens to be in the southern hemisphere, they will just be experiencing the beginning of winter season. That's the reason he say that on that lovely autumn day. So he was accompanied by his daughter Zenani. On the podium is a small platform on which a person may stand to be seen by an audience. So that is the place where people generally stand and give speeches. So on the podium, Mr. de Klerk was sworn in as the second deputy president. And then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as the first deputy president. And this happened before he was sworn in as the president. When it was my turn, when it was Nelson Mandela's turn, he promised to obey and uphold the constitution and to devote himself to the well-being of the republic, to the government and the people. To the assembled guests and the watching world, people from all across the globe who were watching him on the television, and the assembled guest, what did he say? Let us see that. Today, all of us do, by our presence here, confer glory and hope to newborn liberty. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long, must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. We, who were outlaws not so long ago, have today been given the rare privilege to be hosts to the nations of the world on our own soil. We thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of our country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. In this part, he says that we will confer glory. Confer is to grant, to give glory and hope to newborn liberty, newborn freedom. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster. So, what is this human disaster that he is speaking about? It's the apartheid, it's the racial discrimination that South Africa faced. He says that the society that will be born, okay, it will be a society that everybody will be very proud of. The entire humanity will be very proud of this society. We who were outlaws not so long ago. What is outlaws? Normally you cut off ties. Countries which have severed diplomatic relation. Now, why were the ties cut off with South Africa? Because the apartheid system was prevailing over there. So the other countries, they cut off their ties with South Africa. So we who were outlaws not so long ago have today been given the rare privilege to be a host. Okay, just few months back we were outlawed. But now we are given the privilege to be a host to the other nations on this very own soil of South Africa. We thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of our country. What is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity, for human respect. So he's saying that all of us will support, all of us feel good today that the apartheid system is completely abolished. And when this got abolished, it was a victory for justice, it was a victory for peace, and victory for human dignity. He continued, we have at last achieved our political emancipation. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. He tries to say that now they have finally achieved their political emancipation, liberation. All these years, students, the South Africans were ruled by the whites. Now they got a chance to elect their own leader. They were able to cast their vote. So he says that we pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. So he says that we will abolish all these from our country. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. So he calls South Africa, the land of South Africa, as a beautiful place. Yes, why not? Because it was now free from racial discrimination. So he says that now onwards, no one will be oppressed by any other person for any matter. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. It was a human achievement, abolishment of the apartheid system. He says that South Africa will never see a dark day from now onwards. Let freedom reign. Let freedom rule South Africa. God bless Africa. Moments later, when we all lifted our eyes in awe as a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers rode in perfect formation over the Union buildings. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force, but a demonstration of military's loyalty to democracy, to a new government that had been freely and fairly elected. Only moments before, the highest generals of the South African Defence Force and Police, their chests bedecked with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged their loyalty. So, what happened after he was sworn in as the president of South Africa? When they all lifted their eyes, what they could see was a spectacular array of South African jets, a spectacular display of South African jets. Helicopter and troop carriers, it rode in perfect formation over the Union buildings. Now this display, it was not only a display of pinpoint precision. Pinpoint precision is extremely fine or precise, and military force, but it was a demonstration of military's loyalty. The military was now acknowledging democracy. It was now acknowledging a new government that had been formed freely and fairly. Only moments before, the highest generals of the South African Defence Force and Police, their chests bedecked with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged me. So he says that the highest generals of the South African Defence Force and the Police Force, they had their chest bedecked with ribbons and medals which they won from some wars, during some wars. He says that they also saluted him and they pledged their loyalty. They promised their loyalty towards him, towards Nelson Mandela. Proceeding further, I was not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. Finally, a chevron of Impala jets left a smoke trail of black, red, green, blue and gold of the new South African flag. The day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems and the vision of whites singing Kosi Sikelel, I Africa, and blacks singing Die Stem, the old anthem of the Republic. Although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem once despised, they would soon know the words by heart. Now he says that they are the same policemen or the same general who some years back would have arrested him when he was fighting against apartheid. But today, when a new democratic government was formed in South Africa, the very same police force and the general are now saluting him. After that, what happened? A chevron of Impala jets left a smoke trail of red, black, green, blue and gold of the color of the new South African flag. So the jets flew across the Union buildings and the smoke trail were of different colors. These colors are a part of the South African flag. The day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems. Now, how it happens in every country, when some important function is there, the national anthem is played. Similarly, in South Africa also, Two national anthems were played. First was of the whites singing Kosi, Sikilil, I Africa, and the blacks were singing Die Stem, which was the old anthem of the Republic. So there were two national anthems sung. One of the whites and second of the blacks. Although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem, they once despised, the ones hated. Okay, they didn't know the lyrics. Neither the whites knew the lyrics of the blacks, nor the blacks knew the lyrics of the whites' national anthem. But he's sure that they would soon know the words by heart. They would be by hearting, or they would learn it by heart very soon. Students, before I end this session, there are a few pictures. Let's have a look. Here I have the Union buildings that I spoke about, where it formed the amphitheater and where the inauguration ceremony took place. If you see carefully over here, these are the Union buildings. Next, these stairs that we can see over here, this place was basically used for the inauguration ceremony. Can you see? We can just see the half part of it. It is actually semicircular in shape. Now, this picture that I have is of the second deputy president, Mr. de Klerk. Nelson Mandela succeeded him. Before Mandela, it was de Klerk who was the president of South Africa. And this photograph that we have over here, if you remember, initially I told you that the Peace Prize was awarded jointly. It was given to de Klerk as well as Mandela in the year 1993. So this is the picture of the same. Here we have the first deputy president, Thabo Mbeki. This is another picture with Nelson Mandela. Now, on 14th of June 1999, when Nelson Mandela left his office, it was Thabo Mbeki who succeeded him as the president of South Africa. So here we have a picture of Thabo Mbeki. Initially, when I had begun with the lesson, I told you that Nelson Mandela was accompanied by his daughter Zenani. This is the picture of the ceremony, and here I have his daughter's photograph. Here is his daughter Zenani. Proceeding further to the next picture. After the inauguration ceremony, when they looked up, what did they see? A spectacular array of the chevron of the Impala jets. Now, what's a chevron? It's a V-shaped zigzag structure. Look here. This over here. Can you see? It's a V-shaped zigzag structure. Look over here. Can you see this? That's the chevron. And these are the jets. Now left a trail of smoke. Can you see this part? Yes. So there were different colors basically used. What colors? Look at the South African flag next to the photograph. They used red, green, blue, black and golden. These 5 colors were emitted. The smoke of these 5 colors were emitted. So that's all for the day, students. Next, when we meet, I will continue with the lesson, the remaining part of the lesson. Now after this video, you will click on the link that has come with this video. Set of questions that you have to answer. Once you are done, you will submit. Till then, you will take care of yourselves. Sai Ram and bye-bye.